Well, here we are, TPAC North America 2026, and it's good afternoon to Richard Jang, very old friend. Good to see you again, Richard. Product manager for Sage 300, and boy, we go back a lot of years. My first year with you was probably 2004. Sage Orlando was pretty close to when Sage had bought ACPAC. And for you and I, we've seen a lot of changes.
That we certainly have, and I'll have to give you credit, Rob. You've got better memory than me. 2004, and when I sort of look back on things, I've been to many of the TPAC sessions that's been here, Vancouver, just recently overseas in South Africa, with yourself and Mish at that time, and was it the year previous in Asia. And I think my comment would be in all of this is the passion of both of the partners and of the ISV partners, that such a strong ecosystem of products that go about to support the success of Sage 300 and ultimately the customers, right? Because we recognize that Sage 300 is kind of like the foundation, and then from there, it provides that base for the ISVs to expand out, to put together products needed by customers specific to that vertical. And I'm kind of thinking about, like you represent or worked with before, was Technosoft, and their service manager. It's a unique product, you don't see anywhere, and it's a robust product. And the same is true with many of the other folks who do things, whether it's in terms of warehouse management, whether in terms of BI. Certainly there are a lot of different BI tools, and I think the benefit of that is that ultimately the customer gets to choose what's best and what works for them. So, I'm happy to be here, happy to see all the different partners and the new and familiar faces within this ecosystem.
When I look back 4 years ago, one of the big decisions for Doug as TPAC and me as really consulting, helping him, is we decided to go to South Africa. And it was important for us that we looked at what would be significant, and having you and JT has always been foundational, because it's the great connection that you guys have for the VARs when we talk about the ecosystem and what goes on to what's happening in the future, where's the connections to the other products, and that's been quite significant. Just your thoughts about that and how that's also evolved for you.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's basically two-way street, right? So for us is to understand what new things the ISVs are putting on. But at the same time, it's also listening to and understanding some of the challenges of things they're going to do. So, I mean, as an example, when we did our web screens, one of the features that were available in terms of desktop was this concept of subclassing, the ability to be able to leverage our business views and with a third-party folks on top of that. And we didn't have that on our web screens. And then I think we heard loud and clear from many of the partners, of the development partners, that this was something that was needed, not tomorrow, but or not next year or whatever, but soon, because it was important for their business in order for them to move and also have the same capabilities in their web screens as their desktop products. And from there we brought that forward and made that available for the development partners to use. And the same is true with things like APIs. I remember just at that last conference we were at, partner came up to us and says, we have a customer, they're developing their own e-commerce site. They needed some specific values of inventory, but that wasn't available in web APIs. And we had a quick chat with our folks back home, and says, it should be something that we can do, and then we made that available.
I'm glad you touched on web screens, where we've seen a take-up from the customer's point of view.
Yeah.
And presentations like this, we get it on LinkedIn, and we try to also motivate customers, Sage 300 customers. Yeah. It doesn't matter who the VAR is or which ISVs. It's about the community and that acceptance of the web screens, and we're seeing a great take-up.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting. Sage 300, it's a product that's sold worldwide, global product, right? I mean, the joker thing is that, way back when we had a marketing intern that sort of looked at this and says, really, the sun really doesn't set on the Sage 300 empire. And that's literally, whether you're in Canada using it, there's somebody else using it in the other parts of the world, or their evening or our evenings or whatever. But the thing I found interesting about is specifically coming back to web screens is that the folks who are outside of North America, they tend to be a bit more adventurous. They tend to basically push the envelope in terms of Sage 300 product, and also are much more earlier adopters on web screens. And I mean, when I sort of think about it as a bit, I think part of it is just the economics. So for them, having web screens, for those remote warehouses or for remote office, they don't have to deploy RDP servers or Citrix servers or whatever. Basically, and on their desktops, you just have a browser and that's what you need. And we've seen them, pushing the limits of this, and we're really, okay. It'll be like other things. In the North American market, you'll see there's adoption of web screens, and you'll see more and more of that happening as the customers and partners are more aware of the ability, functionality within the web screens. So we continue our journey on the web screen, so fully built out, the features and functionalities that customers are used to with our current desktop product.
We see the position now of animation, and we know that there's a separate required in AI, and it's such exciting times. Just again, we've had some reflections at TPAC over the last 2 days on that topic itself. And just your thoughts on how that affects even your division.
Well, AI is certainly an important element of what we need to do in our product, right? But I think the thing here is that we need to make sure we do it right. Okay. And just in some of the other sessions here and some other conferences, you listen to what people are doing. Is sort of like one of the folks at the summit who did a session here. It is a bit of a wild west, and we need to be careful. Like when we put together our AI engines, we need to make sure that data stays safe. It basically belongs to you, the customer, and it's not going to be used to educate or train a public LLM. And even that, that's from the external part of it. But even internally, we have to be cognizant of the fact that, hey, if I put a query in there that says, how much did the president or the CFO make last year in their annual salary? And if I'm the AR clerk, it's going to tell me, nope, that's not something for you to know. Right? So it's for us to be, cognizant of those challenges and to make sure that we do this thing right. Not the second time, not the third time, but just the very first time that we're out the door. And I think, AI does bring a lot to the table, but we also need to be aware of the challenges and be able to make sure that we dealt with those challenges, in a manner that's going to be usable for all of our base. Right? So, we'll do our early adopter and coming out in September this year. Then we'll build upon that as we go through. I think the other part about this too is that being part of the Sage family is that we're able to leverage the learnings and insights from other Sage teams. Some of the other Sage teams are ahead of us in terms of what they're doing with AI. Other ones aren't. And what we want to do is make sure that, number one, we don't duplicate efforts, right? Because that's, you get the market faster by, and maybe in terms of, when you go to school, the prompt isn't when you plagiarize things or copy things, but, here, if you're able to copy or utilize someone else's code that they've already written, and we're able to get the market faster and better, then, hey, why not?
So to really wrap it up, what's going to excite you in the next year to 3 years, say, where you think Sage can go? And
well, certainly there's the AI element, right? But then the other element also for us is something that we may not have seen now so much in North America, but I wouldn't be surprised in years to come is basically e-invoicing. Everyone realizes that, if you're a business, you do have another partner, regardless of whether you're in Canada, the CRA, US IRS, South Africa, South African Revenue Service. They're your partners and they want to share your profits. With that, they look at what their tax leakages are, and they view things like e-invoicing as a mechanism for them to be able to understand what your revenues are, what your expenses are, and it's just a big pool of data for them to start analyzing. And we can see that there'll be more and more countries that are going to make it mandatory. For some, it's been optional, and for us, that ability for us to be in the forefront of doing this for the countries in Malaysia and Singapore, there's a lot of learning that we take away from that to make sure that, when this comes to other parts of the world that Sage 300 is in, that we are able to provide that robust offering to meet those compliance requirements.
Well, Richard, thanks so much once again for your participation in the TPAC conference. It's something that Marie and I are excited about as well for Doug and for Mish as they move on. We hope to be in Asia this year, South Africa next year, so again. And we'll see what happens, time, space, and fitting it all in with all the other conferences. And I know you guys are busy, but we really appreciate the availability of yourself to be here and to talk to a lot of bars and ISPs actually.
Yeah. No, I mean, for us, we enjoy being able to get out there, see what's happening in the marketplace, and basically get the pulse of what's happening in the Sage 300 environment. And we thank you guys very much for inviting us to come along.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.